The new Mulan has released, and it is a delightful update to the original. So let's compare their endings. They are similar, but there are some notable changes. So let's not waste any time. First up, let's look at the new Mulan. Despite the army learning of her true identity, Mulan proves herself to be so fierce of a warrior that they allow her to stay in the army, and she rewards their trust by saving the Emperor and thus the dynasty of China. Her actions earn her the lavish praise of the Emperor. She is dressed not in a sumptuous trailing gown, but in a practical warrior's uniform. You can see the fearlessness in her eyes. She's come a long way from the scared, insecure warrior that she was at the start of the film. The Emperor asks her to join his guard as an officer. This marks a very significant change from where she was at the middle of the film, where she was exiled from the army and afraid that she would be executed. But she refuses the Emperor's offer because her first and foremost duty, even above her duty to the Emperor, is her duty to her family. We get some gorgeous shots of her returning home, and I must state how beautiful this film is. It's a shame it's only on the small screen, because a film like this deserves to be seen on as big a screen as possible. In Hollywood terms, they really do put the money on screen. Anyway, she returns home and finds out that her sister has gotten a match made. It's exciting news, but when Mulan's family hears that she has returned home, they forget everything they were doing and go see her. She enters like a warrior of myth. There is something almost supernatural about her. Still, she apologizes for her deceit. She stole her father's horse and his sword, and the sword ended up melting into nothingness like the One Ring into Mount Doom. But he's not angry. Not only is he thrilled that she's alive, but he is proud of her for what she has done and the person she has become, and he is sorry for attempting to constrain her into the gender roles she rejected. After this, the Emperor's forces come to her village, presenting her with a gorgeous cloak and a very well-made sword emblazoned with the symbols of the three values the film constantly reiterates: loyalty, truth, bravery, and also, near the hilt of the sword, there is one more value: devotion to one's family. They reiterate that the offer to join the Emperor's Guard as an officer still stands. We don't see what decision she makes, but it is implied that she chooses to fight for the Emperor, protecting him against any possible invasions China may encounter. Compare this to the original Mulan. In the original movie, like in the new movie, Mulan saves the dynasty and the Emperor. In the original movie, the Emperor offers her the chance to be an advisor instead of an officer, but this is mostly because the king's original advisor is fired for being a corrupt buffoon. Mulan declines his offer, like in the new movie, but in this movie there is no indication that she might reconsider the offer. It's not a military offer like in the new movie, so it doesn't fit her as well. She returns home to her father, but the scene plays out a little bit differently. There are no apologies offered. In both films, the reunion is rather heartwarming, but in the old film, Mulan presents her father with the sword and the Emperor's seal, only for her father to say that he doesn't care about that. All he cares about is having her back. There's less of a sense of her father realizing he was wrong than in the new movie, because in the old movie, he doesn't really resist her becoming a warrior to the same extent as he does in the new movie, so he does not need to go through that same degree of character growth. There's no mention of Mulan's sister in the original movie. There are a few reasons why they might have added this character to the new film. There is the dramatic reason, which is that it provides a visceral contrast between the traditional proper daughter and the more rebellious Mulan. But there also might be another reason. Disney is really appealing to the Chinese market with this film, a lot more so than they did for the original Mulan, and in China, the infamous one-child policy ended relatively recently. I think that might have something to do with the decision to add another sister to Mulan's family. Of course, there are also elements in the old film that are not there in the new one. There's no Mushu, the small red dragon voiced by Eddie Murphy. In the old film, he's finally accepted by the ancestor ghosts, and he finally becomes a guardian, like he always wanted. In the new film, the ancestor ghosts are gone too. This is in line with an overall tonal change from the old film to the new one. This is a more serious movie. There is a dash of the fantastical to it, but it's more in line with the old traditional martial arts wuxia epics that have always been big in China. There are less overtly fantasy-like stylings, which make this film feel a little more grounded and definitely allow it to stand out from the original animated movie. Whether that is good or bad depends on your sensibilities. The new movie certainly seems more like a Chinese epic that happens to be in English than an Americanized conception of China, like it is in the original. There's one element, though, that we have not mentioned, and that is romance. I'm not saying there is no romance in the new movie. There is, but it is not as central as it is in the original. At the end of the old Mulan, the Emperor encourages Li Shang to romantically pursue Mulan. Something that, not surprisingly, does not happen in this more grounded and realistic film. Shang finds Mulan's village and goes into her house, ostensibly to return a helmet, but in reality to see her. He asks to stay for dinner, and Mulan's family excitedly accepts. In the end, she gets to both demonstrate her warrior side and find someone who likes her for her. It's the traditional Disney happy ending. But in the new movie, it is a little different. For one, there is no Li Shang. He has become two different characters. Commander Tong fills the role of the officer who encourages Mulan and protects her from the cruel barbs of the ignorant, while Chen Hongwei is her love interest. Neither of these characters are as essential as Li Shang is in the original. As Mulan prepares to leave after declining the Emperor's offer, her love interest comes out to see her. He says that she hasn't even said goodbye yet, obviously an attempt to convince her to stay. Instead, she just says, "Okay, goodbye." Now, it's not as callous as one may think if they just isolated that one detail, and there is real affection between these two and the indication that they might have a relationship in the future, but that is not now. It's more ambiguous than the animated movie. He does not follow her back to her village. The focus in the new movie is much more on her relationship with her father and with her role as a warrior than it is with her love. Honestly, I do like the idea of Mulan continuing her warrior life after the end of the movie, since that was such an essential part of who she has always been. But whether you like the new movie better or the old better really depends on what you want out of a Mulan film. If you want more comedy and songs and romance, then you should probably stick to the old movie. But if you want more mythical sweep and grandiose action sequences and an overall more grounded tone, then I really recommend checking out the new movie if you have not already. So thank you all for watching. If you liked what you saw today, don't forget to like and comment and subscribe. Donate to my Patreon if you can and you want to see more videos like this. I really do recommend the remake. I'm happy with how it turned out. It can be a little clunky at parts, but it's definitely leagues better than the Lion King or Aladdin remakes. If the Disney remakes were more like this, I think they would have a much better reputation as a whole. Anyway, tune in soon for my next analysis. It will be coming soon. Thank you all again. Adios, comrades.